Namaste. Good morning, beautiful souls. Welcome back to your tarot card readings for 2024. Today's reading is for the Fool. And welcome if you're just dropping by. Hello, I'm Sadhana. And I've been doing readings for each of the tarot cards. And today the number is 22. So if 22 is your magical number for the year 2024, this reading is for you. But also, I want to suggest that today's reading is for everyone, in that today is a very special day. Numerologically speaking, it's the 11th day of January. And today, 2024, so 2 plus 2 plus 4 plus 2 plus 2 plus 4 plus 2024 plus 1 plus 11. If you add that up, you will get a number and a reduction to 11 as well too. So we're sitting in a very special time, and I would suggest today at 11:11, at 1:11, and at 11:11 again to be with this number, and also acknowledging that 22 is also a master number, a double 11. So there's something very potent about this reading. I will take my time, go really slowly today. And I actually have a screenshot. I pulled some cards earlier. I was all excited about doing this reading. And so I'm curious to see if any of those cards come up again. Blessings for the new year, Dee. Nice to see you here. So I think I'll start today with a reflection. This is from the wee moon, and it is called Mirage. I thought that's a fitting symbol for the Fool. I was just reading M. Moline's book on her deck as well too, and she talks about wormholes and portals, and so I think the Mirage fits right in there. Where the road dips, then rises. Right there in the shallow valley, silver, the color of thirst. In some countries, rain evaporates before it hits the ground. The sun set pink with it, while the land remains... Oh, I'm sorry, it's so dark. There we go, that's better. Bear with me. In some countries, rain evaporates before it hits the ground. The sun set pink with it, while the land remains sere. Visions are the ore of deserts, lodestones of the lost. What's left after the passage of the moon? Water, the most precious dream, deepest need illuminated. While the trickster goddess paints the far plains with a swift running stream in the wilt of midday. I see ancient oceans. She is not unkind, awakening our senses to what we need to save. My apologies, I did not do that justice. Shall we read that again? Where the road dips, then rises, right there in the shallow valley, silver, the color of thirst. In some countries, rain evaporates before it hits the ground. The sun set pink with it, while the land remains sere. Visions are the ore of deserts, lodestones of the lost. What's left after the passage of the moon? Water is the most precious dream, deepest need illuminated. When the trickster goddess paints the far plains with a swift running stream in the wilt of midday, I see ancient oceans. She is not unkind, awakening our senses to what we need, to what we most need to save. This is the image here, the painting that accompanies it. You know, this reading, this card, there's so much is not... Yeah, a little bit of synchronicity. For me, this has always been a card of trust. And I was sitting thinking of stories journeys, adventures that I have taken. I've shared the story of the older Frenchman that I met in Bali, who I swear was an incarnation of Jesus. Um, this is uh, he probably wasn't an incarnation of Jesus, but he really sort of embodied that essence. The Fool is you on your journey of life. And I think of all of the ways that this card is depicted, what essence it boils down to is lightening the load, letting go, living life. And this means expectations, it means material possessions, responsibilities. Sometimes we don't designate days, moments, hours to this kind of experience where we truly live life and be in the moment. And this is a card of being in the moment, and it's so important to have those experiences. What was the movie? Under the Tuscan Sun. There was, oh gosh, this takes me back. You know, I have this thing where certain scenes of movies just make an impression. And in this movie, there was a woman who knew exactly how to live life. She became a bit of a mentor to the protagonist. And I remember there was a scene in the market. There was two scenes. One where she picked up a little duckling, and just held the little duckling against her cheek and just embraced that energy. It was just this random little thing, and so powerful. Another scene, she was eating an ice cream cone, and with such Venusian response to it, just truly living and enjoying and being in the moment. So I want to ask each and every one of you, how can you be in the moment today? How can you be with what is in your home? How can you be in the moment, perhaps taking a moment away from work and going for a walk and doing something unexpected? Doing something outside of your routine. Letting yourself be guided. Taking a slightly different route. Go on your walk, do it differently. Take your walk in the opposite direction you normally take it. Unwind in every way. Jump in a puddle. Kick a can down the street. Jump in the snow. Stop. Twirl. This is how would a younger version of yourself approach what you are doing? And if you as an adult are much more unwound than you were as a child, then keep unwinding in that direction. Who cares if someone calls you silly or childish or foolish? Or I think there's a fear in that. There's a certain rigidity and tightness that we cling to it's absolutely, it's so harmful. It's so harmful as we build up these walls and these borders. Is not the id, but perhaps that's a little bit of is not id, but perhaps that's a little bit of synchronicity. Id equals the fool. the part of the psyche residing in the unconscious. That is the source of instinctive impulses that seek satisfaction in accordance with the pleasure principle and are modified by, I'll have to wait for the next comment. There is this, and I want to look at the elements here as well, the elemental connection as well too, which is air. But if I'm looking at what the definition that Dee is writing down, this is the beginning exploration of our Swadhisthana chakra, of our sacral chakra, where we begin to test the pleasure element. And honestly, I'm not sure. Maybe I'm the wrong person to speak to this, but I think there has been. I guess it depends how you live and where you live, but there's an aspect of contemporary culture that denies pleasure, that encourages rigidness. And I know there's another part of culture that completely, sort of a rave thing that lets go. Naturally, we don't want to be in one extreme or the other. But I would encourage this day of all these ones, to begin to explore and to release and to let go and to test your boundaries a little bit. So let's just, I'm just going to finish that sentence. In accordance with the pleasure principle and are modified by the ego and superego before they are given overt expression. Thank you for that, Dee. There is, in the Tarot de Marseille, there are bells on the fool's belt or somewhere on the fool's costume. And the idea of bells and the music in general and its ability to shift frequency, I think there's something to that in connection with this card, in changing the energy of this card from something quite literally foolish and to our detriment to something of a higher frequency. And so the intention is really important here. And I can't emphasize enough how, I would say, as you go out and you approach your day, or if you're at the end of the day, your dreams, your evening meditation, with a clear intention. And this is an intention that you will carry through for the next couple of weeks as you build the energy of this first new moon in 2024 that lands on 1-1-1-1-1. It's kind of special. Music. I said I was going to talk about the elements. So air and music, there's that connection. And water, that was the Swadhisthana chakra element. I've never heard anybody really talk about the Fool in terms of that, but it certainly fits in what Dee was offering about the pleasure principle. This is a reading on the 11th day of January 2024 for those of you with 22 as a master number, as the Fool with your card for this year, and all of us that are connecting with this special frequency of 11 on this day. As always, we ask these messages be in the highest for the greatest good, and that no harm be done. So be it. I did draw an ace, the first card, when I was playing with the cards this morning. Ace of Pentacles. I wanted to leave that reading on the table, but I'll show you later if time permits. Now that's a very different sort of frequency. So where should we start? Where should we start today? It's the Judgment card. I guess we'll start with Mercury. Underneath that little bird. Fly free. Fly free. And I choose Mercury as an air association. Mind. Let your mind be free. I have this vision of like latches, catches, undoing all the latches. This one has it on his belt. Is that what you said? Yours has it on his hat. Okay, that's cool. Like undoing all the latches. That's what I was seeing, and I was hearing those metal latches all everything sort of unbuckling. Like I'm trying to think of a scene where, and I don't know if this happened in The Wizard of Oz, where the robot lost all of his metal bits. Oh, I know. Ringing in his ears. Oh my goodness. So let's not talk about tinnitus. Okay, Forrest Gump. Let's go to Forrest Gump and use that as an analogy. When Forrest broke free of his leg braces, how amazing was that scene? That's kind of what I'm hearing and what I'm feeling here with this Judgment card. And it's kind of sitting amazingly with that little bird over top of it. Huh. All right. Sorry, I just need to open another window. I don't know. It's kind of where are we here? Okay, let's draw some more cards. The moon. Of course. And 8 of cups. So we have 4 of cups and 8 of cups. This is the ace that I drew earlier. Ace of pentacles. Ace of cups. 8, another 8. 8, 8. 8 at the Earth and 8 at Saturn. So that's a pretty big connection. And then a 5 on the Venus position. Okay. So where are the aces? The aces are at, the Ace of Cups is at Jupiter, expansiveness of emotion, expansiveness of intuition, expansiveness, but we also have a release of emotion. I need to move this up for you a little bit. We also have a release of emotion in the Earth position. And I would like to Jupiter has expansive emotions and this energy of, and then we have a containment of emotion with the moon, which is kind of bizarre. Maybe a resistance to having this card as card of the year. Okay. I would say simply that the 2 aces support the beginning of this journey. And indeed, with you having this card, tapping into, so with the water cards that are showing up here, it is important that the new ventures that you embark on, you feel emotionally connected to them and allow yourselves to be guided by the receptive qualities. So these are the two receptive aces, the Ace of Pentacles and the Ace of Earth. There's something quite focused in the Ace of Earth. And with the Ace of Cups showing up, one of the things here is that this departure from the norm, this departure from your present job, whatever the current status quo is it's like an emotional breaking through for you. Deciding that I'm going to do this for me, listen to myself. And I think in this kind of a journey, it is important to return to the self. You can call that egocentric, but there's a nurturing of the ego here that is definitely a part of this development. And so we can be really hard on ourselves when we choose me first. And so think about that, because what is holding you back? Is it indeed the opinions of others? Or is there something else that's going on? Is there a sense of protection with the Four of Cups in the Moon position? And I think the answer to that card is kind of obvious. Obviously, we need to uncontain the emotions. I'll get to Dee's comment in a moment, but there is always a place for a containment of that. But I think what we're seeing here is that indeed it would serve you to release and to let go. If we're reading this in the counterclockwise direction that I have laid out the cards, and I know it's interesting because we have this kind of pendulum of energy down here on the bottom. And there's quite a lot of energy of change in the entire reading. Kind of like, if this, then this. If you swing this way, then this. And I would suggest that this is it's important, like I said earlier, it's important to test your edges, to test your comfort zones. So with this comment here, so I've been, this card has come up a lot, maybe 3 or 4 times in this series of readings, and maybe in this position before as well. And I think if I just look at this as there is an animal that is containing and not allowing the water, the wine, to be released. I think there's a sense of fear in releasing the emotions, because what lies ahead, should we release the emotions, feels kind of ominous. And we can see in this deck that with the release of emotions, and notice here how we have 4, 8, we're building something here that feels, it's an unraveling. It's an unraveling of the emotional body. It's an unraveling of it makes us feel vulnerable. It really is. And when we come out of the shell, like think of the crab, the molting of the crab or other animals that lose their skin. What do snakes do when they first shed their skin? Where how do they hide? Where do they go until that new layer is strong enough to be out in the world? In a way, these aces feel like that, and the Fool and the Duckling. So I would also err on the side of just be, let go, follow your path, but be mindful where you go, because you are indeed vulnerable. Okay. Sorry, I didn't type this earlier. I want to look at this connection. So this is the Saturn connection, and also address what's happening here, because look at it's very interesting how in the Ace of Pentacles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's almost like the 5 branches that are on the Ace of Pentacles in the Mars position have broken free and are flying around in the air in the Venus position. That's kind of bizarre. And it looks like the Ace of Pentacles is, maybe not, it almost to me it looks like it's spinning in a clockwise direction. But we'll get into that. If you want to follow along and go a little bit deeper with this reading, then the link is there. I'm very lost at the moment. Okay, well, let's summarize this then before I leave you here. Okay. And I think your comment is very fitting in that there is a discomfort and a vulnerability with being lost. And so let's start at the beginning. This is an experience. Perhaps this is a 2 weeks ahead. And for some people, this is going to be an adventure of a year, wandering in directions, taking risks, testing edges, being uncomfortable. The first card I drew suggested that this transformation, should we be able to trust our steps and allow ourselves to be guided, maybe taking us quite rapidly through a change that has been developing for some time. Now, remember that the Fool is part of the whole journey of the major arcana. In essence, the Fool is in every card in the major arcana. To see this one and only this is the reading I did 2 days ago, right? For the Judgment card, end of the series, 1010XX double change card showing up for a Fool reading signifies to me that this is a highly transformative. The potential for a highly transformative year ahead is declared. Okay. So how do we fit in what's going on with the other cards? The qualities of openness, receptivity are imperative to the development of this journey. 2 receptive aces, 1 in the Jupiter position, 1 in the Mars position, asking us to let go, to take action, to plant the seed, to open up. Make an intention for being available and open to new steps, new pathways, and new directions. The Eight of Cups would certainly, in the Earth position, signal that as well, too. The whole feeling of vulnerability is a general mood for this year. Protecting and guarding one's emotions. Cutting yourself off from emotional exposure is likely not going to serve. Yet, there is always a paradox, because when we are vulnerable, the potential for harm is the greatest. So take this journey step by step. Pay attention to where you're going. Listen to your heart first, rather than the advice of others. So allowing yourself to tap into your emotional body is the best way to know which path and which course to take. Now we have two cards of protection in this reading. One is the Four of Cups and one is the Eight of Swords. All right. And the card I haven't addressed and I'm going to get to in part 2 is the connection between these cards. We also need to acknowledge these two cards, because Saturn is saying that protection and walls and inward reflection is indeed going to support, while Jupiter says open your heart. So we need to take that reflection to another level, and I want to compare that with the message here of Mars and Venus as well. Okay. Okay. Baby steps. I'm going to carry on. I'll be right back. It just takes me a moment to reset the camera. Thank you for all your input so far. Namaste.